I've been a lot of different things. I got started in voice acting relatively recently in my life, but I was in my 30s when I got started. Before then, I was a teacher. I worked in reality TV as like an assistant editor for different shows, delivering tapes all over LA or actually doing some of the editing. Before that, I was also worked for a financial company in Boston. I was doing like facilitating trades and stuff like that. I taught English overseas. Like I did a ton of different stuff before I got into voiceover. And it was the teaching overseas actually that made me really want to pursue voiceover as a medium specifically.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Movement Radio. I am Chip Hazard,
I am Talon Williams.
And I'm Roger Sierra.
and today we're joined by a special guest. You might know him from that video game Final Fantasy Brave or Grim Dawn, or maybe that one anime that he did, The Prince of Tennis. Maybe.
Maybe.
We are joined by the incredible Alan Adelberg. Alan, how are you this evening?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
My pleasure.
So, for those who may not know, who is Alan Adelberg?
Wow, what an esoteric question. I am an actor and a musician and an artist, and I'm out of Austin, Texas, and been doing voiceover for about 10 years. Got started primarily in commercials, and then started branching out into video games and some anime and dubbing. And I'm in my studio. This is where I do all the work. I'm represented by Atlas and ACM, so I get to work with clients all over the world, which is amazing thanks to the internet out of right here.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
So Chip asked the question, who are you? I'm going to ask you the question, who were you before you started this journey
Very good
to
question.
becoming a voice actor and things of that nature? How did it all
Sure.
start for you?
Sure. I've been a lot of different things. I got started in voice acting relatively recently in my life, but I was in my 30s when I got started. Before then, I was a teacher. I worked in reality TV as like an assistant editor for different shows, delivering tapes all over LA or actually doing some of the editing. Before that, I was also worked for a financial company in Boston. I was doing like facilitating trades and stuff like that. I taught English overseas. Like I did a ton of different stuff before I got into voiceover. And it was the teaching overseas actually that made me really want to pursue voiceover as a medium specifically. Because it was an English immersive school. And so I had to speak English all day to them. And these are kindergartners. And I'm talking to them in their second language. So I'm sounding like Charlie Brown's teacher to them. And I know that. They're looking at me politely, but it's like, and and they're like, yeah. So I realized that, oh, if I put all kinds of intention behind what I'm saying, maybe they'll start to pick it up. So it's like, we're going to talk today about demonstrative adjectives, which I didn't even know until I started teaching, honestly, that this and that were demonstrative adjectives. But to them, they're like, wah, wah, demonstrative adjectives. But if I started putting as much into it as I could, then I noticed they were like kind of listening. And if I would do silly voices or if I would make it fun, they were like kind of into it.
Yeah.
And so I started realizing that like our words are almost like thought vessels, and the cargo is the intentions that we put into them. And I had done acting years and years before that. I had gone to school actually for acting for a little bit, but I had this thing where I was like, oh, I need to talk myself out of that and do something grown up. But then doing that, I was like, not only do I want to be an actor and an artist, but like, oh, I get what this is. Like it is literally taking an idea and through your actions and your words, being able to convey it and have them realize it without even saying it necessarily. It's just the intention behind it. So that is who I was.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. What reality TV shows did you work on, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure. They were called Switched, The Amazing Race,
Okay.
Switched was really, really weird. It was like a precursor to those like mom swap shows or whatever,
Yeah.
where you take two people from two different lifestyles and put them around. Um, there was a show called Walking the Bible. That was really weird. Ironically, an incredibly tense situation. Uh,
Walking the Bible.
yeah, it was a dude who just walks every book in the Old Testament, but man, the production office was like, it was like Mad Men. Like everybody's like, what's going on? Like screaming at each other.
Wow.
Maggie, get in here. Um, uh, yeah, so stuff like that. Honestly, I can barely remember some of them,
I got you.
but yeah, a lot of the cool part was delivering tapes to and from Disney. That was super fun when
Oh,
I first
okay.
got the job. So it's like the tapes would come in from the field. I would have to digitize them to VHS because that was the VHS era still,
Oh wow.
and also DVD. And then I would take all of those individually to different offices within the Disney lot itself. And was amazed that a lot of people had desks that look a lot like yours, Chip. They would be just filled with stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, I tend to change the background every so often. Right now it's Dragon Ball. It's kind of what I grew up on, but I have a ton of other so Star Wars,
Cool.
Demon Slayer, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So I'll change the background every so often, which is it delights Roger
Yeah,
and Talon.
totally.
Yeah, because it's more of a jealousy thing because I'm stuck with an Elvis
I
puzzle
do admire
and
the Elvis stuff.
yeah, well, that was actually my could you if I told you that this was a puzzle, would you believe me?
I would not believe you.
Yeah, that is an
That's a
actual
jigsaw
puzzle.
puzzle?
That's a jigsaw puzzle. Yeah, my
Wow.
wife's grandfather, him and her grandmother, they used to put puzzles together, and
Oh,
instead
that's so
of
cool.
yeah, they would put the puzzles together, and instead of just like, oh, we made the puzzle, let's put it back in the box, they actually put some clear coat over it and then put it in a picture frame and hung them.
I thought you had
Every
made a collage, like a Deftones CD cover or something like that.
no, but that is a good idea though. That is a very good idea. I actually have a friend of mine who I used to go to high school with. He has the white pony tattoo, but
Hmm.
inside the white pony is the blue and red flowers from the Minerva CD
Oh,
of
wow.
of Deftones. I thought that was pretty cool.
Right on.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty cool tattoo. I think
That's
he
cool.
paid like 600 for it. I think
Wow.
I don't know. Yeah,
Tat,
I'll
tat,
find it. I'll find it. Yeah, look,
yeah,
show you guys eventually. But yeah,
tattoos can be expensive.
oh yeah,
Oh,
oh
Kidding.
yeah.
so you worked on the reality TV,
I
and
did.
then from reality TV you went straight into teaching, or was there something in between? I may have
No,
missed
it's
that.
it's a weird jumble. So I substitute taught as soon as I graduated college,
Okay.
and that was awful. And so then I packed up the old Honda Civic and drove to LA, where I had a friend who was staying there, and then he got me in working on reality TV in the post-production department. And so I went from reality TV, and I was playing music in LA at the time. I would play at like Viper Room and House of Blues. It's
Ooh.
what
Oh
they don't tell.
wow.
It's cool, but what they don't tell you is it's also a pay-to-play model. So you're like buying tickets yourself, and then you're trying to get as many people as you can to buy those tickets from you.
Oh wow.
But you do play them, which is pretty awesome.
What type of music did you guys play?
Um, it was kind of like Americana, like
Okay.
on a good day, My Morning Jacket-ish.
Oh okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
probably on a bad day, more Dave Matthews-ish. I don't know.
Oh.
I know. It depended on the song.
And what is your instrument of choice?
I do guitar and bass and try to sing.
I like that try to
And-
sing.
hey, at least he's honest about it.
Yeah,
You know?
totally. You know, I'm pretty humbled. Like, I thought I could sing, and then I had a voiceover gig recently where I had to sing, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I thought I could sing.
Well, singing in
Uh,
character and singing as yourself is probably two different
and it wasn't
dynamics,
my
probably.
register. That was the hard part. It was like in a much, much higher register. So it's like, you know. Um, so anyway, from reality TV, went to Boston and worked in finance, and that was
Yeah, what was that like?
Dude, it was wild. Like,
Miserable.
it's the best way to put it. It was miserable, and it was also kind of fun because finance people are insane. Um,
Yep.
but it was just like I did about 2 or 3 years, and I was like, mm-mm, and tried to find an exit strategy. And in doing that, I got a TEFL certificate and started teaching in Korea. And then in Korea was when it was like, oh yeah, like I am an artist. This is what I want to do. To the point where literally a kid was like, Alan, teacher, you are not a teacher. You're an artist. And I'm like, sure, sure, I'm an artist. Let's get out of here. So did that, came home, and then got my first demo, and it's just been like, just one like incremental step after another.
Mm. Oh, what was that first project? Do you remember that first project that you got?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
it was
was it?
Galen School of Nursing. This was Galen was in, I think, Kentucky, because I was in Louisville at the time,
Mhm.
because that's where I'm from. And I got my first demo with Radio Joe's, which doesn't exist anymore. And they were like, we have a gig for you. It's for Galen School of Nursing, and you have to be a doctor. And I was like, what? Like, a huge out of body experience because, imposter syndrome was insane because it's like, this is my first gig and I'm supposed to be a medical professional. Um, but I got through it, and then it just kind of would go one and done more from there. I wasn't on P2Ps at that point. It was literally all just kind of local radio spots in Louisville for the first 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
P2Ps stand for pay to plays. So
Hey,
things in the voiceover world like Voice 123 or voices.com.
mhm. I've heard of both of those.
Yeah. It's a good way for talent to build up a resume.
Did you aside from the like commercial work, did you do any like fan dubs or anything just to kind of pad the resume?
No, I did not, actually. I was just working primarily in the commercial world,
Mm,
and then I would also do e-learnings, and it was kind of on that corporate side. And what I would do for my own fan dubs is I draw and write comics myself, so I wasn't like performing in the fan dubs, but I would be just like drawing. And I mean, you can see back there, like I'm working on drawing there for, I think it's the Justice League, the Bruce Timm ones.
oh,
Nice.
nice.
Um, yeah, so it's that was my fan dub, but I never really got into the fan dub thing. I honestly didn't even know. I'm kind of offline. So when I got into voiceover and I started getting into it, I was like, whoa, there's things like fan dubs. You can do this? Oh, that's so cool. But I didn't know.
Oh, several of the voiceover artists that we have talked to have told us about like the fan dubs and how that kind of helps with when you're first getting in, just kind
Hmm.
of like building that resume. So I was
100%.
just wondering.
Yeah.
So
No,
you,
just
you go
audition, audition, audition. That was all.
audition, nice,
So are
And
the
nice.
fan
study.
dubs? I didn't mean to interject, but is the fan dubs more passion projects and like very little pay in terms of like just some like hey favor jobs and things of that nature?
As far as I know, you don't get any pay.
Yeah, there's no
Gotcha,
pay.
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the best way, Talon, that I could describe a fan dub is if we created this piece and then we call Alan and be like, "Hey, we've got this character that we think you'd be good at. Could you provide us a voice? We
Go
can't
on.
pay you anything, but
Really?
you know,
I'm
But
getting
it's
another call.
fun.
Hold on real quick.
it'd be like it's gonna be really fun, and we're really cool people. So
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Chip's way of pitching the idea without actually going to Alan first and pitching the idea. Is what happened.
I didn't do fan dubs, but I did do a lot of um, indie video games that never made it past the demo stage or never made it
Mm.
past like the
Mm.
Kickstarter stage and stuff like that. So it wasn't fan dubs, but I was definitely, learning on the job.
yeah, okay, that's cool. So after the commercial and everything, when did you kind of hit that first big break where you're like, okay, this is gonna be sustainable for me?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, I moved to Austin in 2015. And before then, I had been doing it for on and off for about 3 or 4 years in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was also getting an MFA in screenwriting at the same time. And so I was at a pivot point. It was like, are you going to be a screenwriter or are you going to be an actor? And we moved here, my wife and I, my wife, and I realized I've got to do what I can to get this job going off the ground. And so when I devoted all of my energy 100% to that, about 6 or 8 months into it, I just wildly was invited to go to Google, like the actual campus of Google, to audition to be the male, like whatever that assistant voice is. You know, it's like turn left here. They
Oh,
needed a male voice, and I had auditioned for it, and they invited me in. They paid for my flight, they paid for my hotel, and I didn't get it. And it turns out that the project never even went forward anyway. I think they were just trying to burn through cash. But it was me and another guy that I knew, and that's when I was like, huh, okay, well, I think that this could actually be a career.
awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
Now you said that you've been in, a few anime and some video games.
Yeah.
Now with your vocal range, which do you think, or personally, like, do you feel is harder to do voiceover wise, anime or video games?
You know, speaking for myself, I don't look at it in terms of a vocal range aspect only because they're different disciplines. Uh,
Okay.
Being an anime actor is like being a studio musician. You have to be able to sight read and evoke and emulate what you're seeing in a split second because you don't get the scripts beforehand. So you're doing it on the spot. There's going to be a ticker that's like a line here, and then the words are going to that ticker. You have to sight read it. You have to watch the original animation. You have to figure out character choices on the go. It's like literally being a session musician. Like if you've ever heard of the band The Wrecking Crew or whatever, the people that did all the background music, it's like
Hmm.
being that. So the top tier anime people are fascinating session musicians. They are such incredible actors. And it's a specific skill set. And then with video games, it all depends on the video game. Like sometimes I don't get the script beforehand. 9 times out of 10, you just go right into it cold as well. But then sometimes you might actually get a chance to formulate the character and read the script beforehand. But it's different because you're not necessarily dubbing. You're not doing it to match the mouth flaps and make sure that your syllables are hitting in the amount of time that's given. So you can really, you're not doing it to picture, in other words. So you can build with the director as you're going. So it's a different skill set. So I wouldn't say with mine that one goes more towards the other. I've had more experience, vastly more experience in video games, but I've also done anime and dubbing, and I'm now doing a lot of live action dubbing. Um, so it's just like it's totally different skill sets. I think that anime and dubbing is a blast because you don't have time to think. You can't second guess yourself. Like you just got to do it. You get one chance or two chances maybe. And if you can knock it out on that first chance, I mean that's awesome. Like if you can go 45 seconds, maybe a minute of just like watching it once and then matching the emotions and like invoking it and adding your own flavor to it and you're doing like a minute of sight reading, like that's pretty fun. That feels really, it's like good job, A plus.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but then with the video games, it's like you get a chance to it's like, it's like the difference between stage acting and being in theater. Like with theater, you're telling a whole story, you're telling a whole arc every night. And then with um, on camera acting, you're living in every specific moment. So with anime, you're living in every specific moment. But with video games, you can really perform and like feel like you're in the play, if that made any sense in my.
No,
Oh, that
it
makes
makes a lot of
Yes.
sense. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Like what you just said, you did a lot of video game work. Were you a fan of video games growing up? Is that why you
Yeah.
kind of maybe adapted into the video game genre
Yeah.
a little bit more than
Yeah, it was
anime?
the easiest pivot for me for sure.
Yeah.
It
What
was
was your
easy to pivot for me, and it's also it's an industry that's a little bit more open to remote talent.
yeah.
Uh, it's a little bit easier to break into it as a remote talent than it is with anime.
What's your console of choice?
Well, I was an Xbox kid, and then I got a PS5, and I'm sorry, but I do play the PS5 now.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have this conversation all the time, and it's really like if you prefer
Hmm.
like single player story based games, PlayStation is definitely where it's at.
For sure.
But if you're just wanting to jump online and play like Call of Duty or whatnot with your buddies, Xbox has the superior portion there.
Yeah,
So
I'd
it's
agree
it's
with that.
it's
Pause.
it's just really it's
See, I
just
used
really a preference.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be a PlayStation guy, and then I switched over to the Xbox
Did
later.
you?
Like, because I still think PS2 is one of the greatest consoles ever created, in
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion. I think it
for
has
sure.
over 4,000 games. Over, I think, 1,000 games that have been produced to the PlayStation 2 are in the Video Game Hall of Fame or something like that. Like, there's a lot of great games from the PS2.
I
And
tend to go
then,
back to that era the most.
oh, I do too.
I got a modded Xbox, and I just play all those old games, the
Yeah,
PS2
yeah.
original Xbox games. They're blast.
Yeah, they sell this little I don't know what it's called. God forgive me because I don't remember what it's called, but it's some type of a video game box. I guess I'll call it that for the time being. And you can pick from like N64,
Oh yeah,
PlayStation,
yeah.
PlayStation
I
2.
think I
They
have
sell
one.
it. Oh, oh yeah.
It's like a flash drive or something you put into your
It's a flash
TV.
drive that you put into your TV, and then
Yeah.
but there's also a box that goes with it. You can connect
Oh wow.
wireless controllers to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen a few of them on TikTok, and I've seen a few of them
I got the
advertised
one
on
on
YouTube.
TikTok, and
So.
it gets really hot. Like
Yeah, oh yeah.
the thing has no heat sink whatsoever, so it is super hot to the touch.
Oh, great.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's
Makes
fun
sense
while it's
though.
working. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're still, you know.
Oof. So of the voices that are all the voices similar to your own, or do you get cast in like stuff that's more high pitched than what you really
Mm,
are, or lower than
yeah.
what your tone
It's
really
all
is?
over. It's a range. I mean, they're all going to be some varying hue of my natural timbre, of course,
Hmm.
but most of my inspiration comes from like old TV, old movies. Like I remember hearing an interview with Billy West where he takes a little bit of Larry from the Three Stooges and he puts it together with this, and then you get Stimpy. And I started realizing, like, oh yeah, like just go to the past. People aren't going to necessarily be familiar with these things. So I find everything ranges from like, I love doing accents, and I love uh, doing silly characters and then also grounded characters. So I tend to play either like kind of like McCloud is a very stoic, um, uh, the realm scourge is coming. We have to get out of here. Kind of almost like kind of what people used to think of Cyclops before they realized he was awesome. And before Ray Chase made him awesome, the first one was like, oh, Gene. And um, and then it goes into silly. Like I got a game coming out where it's like he's the grand conductor, and he's just the guy that I so scream all the time at paper. Uh, General conductor. So it ranges everything I do. I mean, the king of Sandland, he's just kind of like a big fat baby. I what I really appreciate the most is since I'm sure my range isn't incredibly huge in terms of my vocal range, so I love to just place the voice in different positions, either in my nose, make my jowls bigger, place it in my throat. That's where I tend to find my variation for coloring.
Okay,
That's awesome, man.
that's cool.
That being said, though, you talked about the different types of voices that you do. Um, Kind of a serious question because we've asked other voice actors this as well. With the advent of artificial intelligence, AI, in
Yeah,
the world of animation, anime, commercials, narration, different things of that nature, a lot of people are not for it. Studios kind of prefer it because it's cheaper to produce and things of that
sure.
nature. What is your overall personal opinion about the usage of artificial intelligence in the entertainment industry?
Well, that's a great question. My immediate knee-jerk reaction, of course, is that I'm not a huge fan of it. but my main reason for not being a huge fan of it is that I personally can tell. Like when I hear it, even if it's fantastic, because there's sites like artlist.io now has AI VO, and I was listening to it and it's like, it's good. It is good, but it's missing that human touch. And I've been in a position where recently I've had a lot of people contact me because like, oh, we had the AI voiceover for this, but it doesn't work. So do you mind doing it again? I'm like, yeah, you could have come here to begin with, but that's fine. Um, so my thought is, I know that there are people who are doing a lot to give us protections, like the NAVA, the National Voiceover Association. I mean, they're actually going to Capitol Hill and trying to pass legislation now. Tim Friedlander's leading the charge on that, and along with Karen Gilfie. And what they're doing is incredible. So I'm optimistic that there will be protections put in place later. As it is right now, it's the Wild West, and I understand that budgets are tight, and I know that you've got a dream in your head and you want to get it out, but at the expense of sounding like some hipster who's like, it really does sound better on vinyl. I think that there is a human element that is going to be missing from your final product, and the technology is just not there. I mean, we've come a long way from Will Smith looking like he's eating his fingers while he's eating spaghetti to what we see now in the images, but I can hear the difference. I can hear the extra fingers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
sure.
I think it takes like the emotion out of it.
Yeah.
Like you said, AI, it's getting better, but there's no emotion to it because it is just a computer. Um, so
Humans are unpredictable. And that's the best thing about giving three takes. If you can differentiate your three takes, who knows what's going to come out? Because you can
right.
have three different intentions. Maybe eventually they'll be able to model all that more thoroughly, but for me now, I can hear what you're saying. Like it'll be like, oh, that sounds really good. That's a really good voice. Oh, that's weird. Like that didn't, because when we're talking to one another, unless you're that person at the party you do not want to be listening to, we're we're talking to people to evoke a reaction from them. Like I'm saying something to you right now because I want you to, I don't know, react to what I'm saying, but I don't hear that. I don't hear that cyclical nature of conversation in the AI voices. I just hear like, yeah, that's a good voice.
Yeah. And I honestly think that, like, obviously, you being a voice actor, you notice it quickly. The three of us, we've been watching anime for a while. We would notice it as well. And I think it's going to sound weird, but I think that maybe some studios think that, oh, these fans, and I'm just saying this just as a thought hypothesis, if you will. Oh, the fans that watch our product, oh, they're just stupid and they'll watch it just because
Mm,
it is their favorite anime until they put the product out and everybody's like,
yeah.
where's the emotion? You know what I mean? So wouldn't it not be better to use real people to do the voiceover instead of an algorithm, simply because people know, like, okay, you're feeding us very, very poor AI generated dialogue that we know for a fact is not that we know for a fact doesn't have any emotion behind it. You know what I mean? It's like when you take
Yeah.
the art away from the artist, you're basically you might as well be listening to a piece of wood. You know what I mean? There's nothing there.
I mean, to be fair, there are some AI voices that do sound fantastic. Like when I listen to them, I'm like, I mean, I want to take notes on what they're doing. It's like, that's a good timbre. It's a great, great voice to have for this read. But like you're saying, it's lacking that. I think that where we are personally is that we're in a situation where a lot of people want to save money and they want to do it before it's ready. So artists are suffering because people want to cut costs. And then ultimately it's going to bite them in the butt because then people are going to not want to be enjoying their product.
Yeah.
I mean, there's anime companies that were using AI for transcription services, and it didn't work. The AI couldn't figure out how to make the dialogue natural, and so I guess at the end of the day, yeah, it's our livelihood. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, and I don't support it. But I also can totally understand if somebody needs to do it for their budget reasons. But and I don't know if this is hubristic, but I really think it's true. They are putting a ceiling on how high that thing can go because it's just you're pushing people away, whether you mean to or not. What I do worry about is generationally. So we can tell the difference. But what about if you're 10, 12, and you've been listening to that forever, and then you get to be in your mid 20s and your 30s and you're starting your own projects? You're not going to know the difference. I mean, will you? You know? So generationally, I see it as a tide that like if it continues to keep getting pushed through and used on the regular, then I could see it becoming the norm just because people just won't be able to have an ear for it. But now we do have an ear for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, hopefully, the people that are advocating against it at Capitol Hill will progress and get that in place.
For sure.
Because I myself, as a fan, I don't want the human element taken away.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, like you said, like my kids, I have a 6 and a 7-year-old, and if all they've ever known is an AI voice, it's not going to mean much different to them.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking on voices, I want to go back to your voices for a second.
Mhm.
Which of your voices do you think is hardest to maintain over a longer session,
Yeah.
uh, as opposed to, like the little quick snippets here or there, but like a longer recording session?
Anyone where I have to like sit on my vocal cords, yeah, they're like if it's a whispery kind of voice, it's actually pretty tough to do for 3 or 4 hours because I'm going to want to change or it'll just get naturally lower. Um, Anything where you're screaming your freaking head off, like any of the war games that I've done, I mean, like you got to have training to be able to not blow your vocal cords out and to relax it and let it come out. Screaming "get down" for 4 hours takes some training, so that can blow your voice out. Um, but yeah, I think for the most part, I've been lucky enough. I had a great teacher, Debbie Derryberry, and anytime I would be practicing with her when I was getting started, she was like, "That's a really great voice. Can you do that for 4 hours?" And so I just kind of started trimming off anything that I thought, "Oh, this sounds great," but I could not physically maintain that.
Well, that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then also previously you said you're a huge fan of doing accents.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite accent to vocalize?
Uh, I don't know why, but I love the German accent so much. And I love like a cartoon German. There's something about it. It's
You
like
s-
because it's a little bit silly, but at the same time it's very dangerous. And it's prone to just blowing up for no reason. And I love that.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you know this television show or not. You sound like Klaus from American Dad. The fish that's in the thing. Yes.
Totally, totally.
Yes. God, D. Bradley Baker does the voice of Klaus in American Dad. And I was
Oh,
like,
really? Cool.
that's a key pitch right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm German heritage. Maybe that's part of it.
Hey, I'm with you there, dude. I know.
Yeah, yeah. German and Sicilian. It's an interesting
Oh.
mix.
German and
Everybody, oof.
That's a rough combination.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dinners was exciting.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I thought I was bad. I'm like my dad's side of the family is from Germany. My mother's side of the family is from Amsterdam. So I'm just
Oh
like,
wow. Okay.
yeah. So,
Amsterdam's beautiful.
yeah, I've never been. That's on my bucket list. I want to
Yeah,
go to
it's
Amsterdam.
neat.
So,
Super neat.
not for the coffee houses. I just want to see the
No,
sights.
no, it's literally just beautiful.
For the bakery, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I like the explosive characters, Sicilian and German. But I like British characters. I mean, everybody likes British. I wouldn't be able to differentiate it between areas, but like a royal kind of RP kind of language is fun. I had to do an audiobook where the whole thing was in this British accent. It sounded like Richard Burton after 3 whiskey sours. And oh God, that was a long trip. Um,
Mm.
those are fun. I tried to do a French accent once, but in a game, but I don't think it went over well. But they didn't complain.
Yeah.
Uh, so mainly European ones. I think it's a little weird to be doing non-European ones as a white guy. That's just me.
So on the flip side of the voice or of the accents that you have done, which is your least favorite? It's just like I can do it, but it's just not there for me.
I think the French one, going back to the French one, because I don't know what it's like. Um, it I have to like do a bunch of gibberish to get it into as and then you start talking like this, and I don't know if I'm even doing French anymore, if I'm doing the imitation of French, if I'm doing German again, I don't know. Uh, I do like to do the Irish accent a lot. So like the Ireland is super fun.
Yep.
That one's good. New Zealand's great because you just make everything go up again, and it's always fun. But
That's a
yeah,
pretty good Kiwi.
I lived there for about a summer. It was a blast.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I think the French one is just it's like I'll do it, but like I know that this is completely gibberish. It just sounds like a cartoon.
Just watch
From-
Hours of Pepe Le Pew, and you'll be fine.
Les pants, les pants.
Yes.
Which he got canceled for reasons.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
why. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, I just saw that the other day, like just a random Pepe Le Pew cartoon. I was like, whoa, okay,
Was this Boomerang?
yeah,
That's
take it
the
easy,
good
Pepe.
stuff.
That's. I mean,
No, no,
he
Pepe.
just did it differently.
Yeah,
It's like
he's
Dave
not even
Chappelle
any of
has
the
a whole
new
thing on
ones.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Take it easy, Pepe. See
Hey,
that, Uncle Dave?
he just wanted love. He
Yeah.
just wanted love.
He wanted
Yeah.
it a lot. Yeah.
Very misunderstood.
That's the word, misunderstood.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it.
Well, the whole concept behind Pepe Le Pew as a character was that he's French, and in that decade, in that era of time, French was, especially Paris. Was considered like the most beautiful city in the world. It's where people
Ellie.
fall in love, the most romantic city on the planet, and things of that nature.
Casbah.
So let's make a character who believes that he is the most romantic man, the most romantic character in the history of the world, only to find out that he's really a creep. And he don't know he's a creep. He's just being romantic, and people
Yeah.
are like, no,
Yeah.
Which I guess
Creepy
back in
enough to
1930
creep out
something it
other
was
French
better,
people.
right?
Yeah.
Which I guess back in 1937, I guess people was like, oh, it's just a cartoon, it's tongue in
Was he
cheek,
that
it's not
old?
really big. 1937, I think was.
I think that's like Mickey Mouse stuff, yeah?
Yeah, it's like that's Steamboat Willie.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but I think Pepe Le Pew. Matter of fact, let me look it up real quick. You guys
Okay, I was
conversate. Let me
assuming
look
it
it
was
up
like
real
a
quick.
50s, 60s thing.
Yeah,
I could have
feel
swore
like
it was
that's
in the
what it is.
30s.
Like after the
when
war, more than
did-
anything.
Yeah, it was 1945.
Oh, well,
Oh, wow. Okay,
I was,
so
I was about that.
Right
to
after
go.
the war.
earlier than I
Yep.
anticipated. That's oh wow.
Okay. I
Yeah.
could have swore it was the 30s, but then again, I was thinking you're right. Disney was more in the 30s. Looney Tunes didn't really come around until after the war. So yeah,
37 to 45 is not that big of a difference, though. I for some reason thought it was like way later.
yeah.
Yeah, I figured it would have been way later, but no. According to Google, he made his first appearance January 6, 1945, on an episode called Odorable Kitty.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Does make sense.
Yeah. So, so Alan, you mentioned that you're also an artiste.
Yes.
What got you into artistry?
It's just the first thing that I really took on to as a kid. Like I absolutely loved drawing, and I would make my own comic books when I was young. They were always derivative. Like it'd be like Transformers, but it's Blaster flying the Millennium Falcon, and he's got to go hang out with like the Marvel superheroes on Battle World or something like that. It was whatever I was reading as a kid.
That's great.
I had a blast doing it. I loved it. And then I just went on to that. So I went to a magnet high school, and I didn't actually go to school for acting. I went for art. And then my last year I did acting, but the first 3 years was art. So I just love it. It's something that, it's just an outlet. It just keeps me sane. I think you have to have as many things that you like doing as possible. I mean,
Yeah.
there's downtime as an actor, not as much as an on-screen actor. There's so much downtime there.
Yeah.
But still, there'll be downtime when you're not actually performing or auditioning or trying to find the work. You got some time to do things. And for me, I find just painting and drawing like is just a fantastic outlet.
Do you mostly draw like superhero stuff, or do you do like more watercolors? Do you do photorealism stuff? Are you all over the gambit, or is there like just a specific type of medium that you like to do more?
I get bored real easy, so I do as much as I can. Like I
Gotcha.
realized a while ago that like I get really, really excited about stuff and then I don't care. So I decided that I realized that I have to get really excited about a lot of different things. So it's just kind
That's
of,
me.
yeah. So I'll get
Cool.
really excited about watercolor, and then
Yep.
after about a day or two, I'm like, nah. And so then I'll want to use markers, or I'll want to get back into still life drawing. So it's just it's everything. It's all of it.
Yeah.
I do stone sculpting sometimes. That's fun.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah,
that's nice.
it is. It's loud, so I feel bad for my neighbors. You know, it's like tink 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 tink. But that's fun. And then I'll get bored. And then I'll go in and I'll want to do like collages, or then I'll be like, oh, I'm going to focus on digital for the next couple days.
Yeah.
I do try to keep traditional and digital kind of in balance. There's so much you can do on digital, so I'm not going to like talk it down or anything. It's just, but the traditional thing is so, it just feels more tactile. Well, duh, of course it does. But you know what I mean? Like it feels like when it's done, it's like, look, I did it. Whereas when with digital, it's like, I'm going to send you the file.
Yeah.
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 I
When
get
I
that.
was when I was growing up, when I was in high school, I took art in high school,
Oh yeah.
and I did something like my teacher called it something weird. She called it abstract geometric art. I'm like, what is that? I've never heard of that before a day in my
Yeah.
life. And she said, what you're doing, because what I like to like draw like even on my mouse pad right here, like it looks stupid, but I drew this thing.
Oh,
It
cool.
ain't nothing. It's just two circles. I've connected them together, a couple things. But that would be what I did. It's just basically doodling. It's just
Mhm.
all I did was just doodle, but I would try to make sure that lines connected the way to where it looks like it's a road, or I would make sure like the circles would like start with a big circle and go down, making it look like
Yeah.
it's really, weird stuff. And she said, that is what you're doing is abstract, but you're also doing geometric because you're using shapes, but you're also layering them on top of each other and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, that's a very interesting thing. Maybe you should
That's
do
really
more of
cool.
that.
That's really cool.
So I actually, I guess my finals, my final project, which was like 50% of your total grade. And this is ninth grade, so it wasn't like I was doing like, watercolors or portraits or anything like that. They just said, whatever you learned in class, do it, and then we'll see what happens, with the grade, whatever. So I made this 10-foot, not 10-foot, 10-inch by 11-inch thing
Like
of
10
abstract
foot.
art.
Wow. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wish it was 10 foot. It'd been a whole lot more
Made a
efficient,
mural.
just spray paint, right? But yeah, I mean, I guess for me, because I have ADHD, it was something that was very therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
The fact that I was able to do that,
Mhm.
but also like you, hey, I'm gonna do this. After a couple of days, I'm bored. I'm doing this,
Yeah.
and then doing this. Oh, I'm bored. I'm gonna do this,
Yeah.
because I guess that's just, because the creativity a lot of times it's like, because I have ADHD, that means the left side of my brain works faster than the right side of my brain, and the left side of your brain controls creativity, as opposed to the
Mm.
right side of the brain controls common sense, which I
Mhm.
have little. But that being said, I'm
Common
just being
sense.
honest. But yeah, like when you get into your art, is it therapeutic for you when you
Sure.
find something that you really like, and then you're pinpointing right at what you want to at what you want to do, whether it be watercolors or whatever?
Yeah. When we have these kind of personalities where we tend to get bored quick, that means our brains also allow in maybe more thoughts than we need.
Yep.
So it can lead to more anxiety. It can lead to possibilities. So with the art, yeah, everything quiets down. Like I'm able to get into a flow state. Um, I really appreciate the flow state. I'm able to get into that in sessions, but there's so much that leads up to a session. You gotta find the work, then you gotta get the audition, and then you gotta get into it. But with art, it can just be as simple as you just doing lines or working on your circles or painting. So I'm able to quiet everything down and kind of reach that higher sense of self, where the ego goes down and yourself is where you're at.
Yeah.
And that's where art is able to do that for me. Music can do that for me too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Any particular type of music? I mean, obviously, you talked about you did more of a My Morning Jacket, Dave Matthews kind of style
Yeah.
music. Is that what you normally listen to in your regular everyday life, or are you
Not Dave
more of
Matthews, I'll tell you
like the
that.
complete opposite end of the
Yeah.
spectrum?
What Dave Matthews? But somebody was like, it sounds like Dave Matthews. I was like, God damn. No, it's more I'll listen to like Nathaniel Rateliff, and the Night Sweats, Beck, MGMT, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And so yeah, music will be there. I just love like learning new songs. I don't really focus too much on songwriting anymore. It's just once I hear a song, I love it and I just want to learn it. And that process alone is just like, it's just such a thrilling experience.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. But back to your art. Have you ever thought about like publishing a comic book or anything?
Yeah. Art was kind of on the back burner, but then during COVID, I started really getting back into it. And I've gotten back into it to the point where it takes up about half of my day. So I am working on projects. I'm trying to get a collection going. The last thing I want to do is make a promise, but there's some things that I think I'll be able to publish here pretty soon.
Oh,
Awesome.
that's awesome. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's a blast and it's a great, outlet. And I'd eventually also like to animate my own stuff, but that's such a skill set and it does take time. But I love the character design aspect of it. And I love making strips. Like I loved, reading the cartoon strips, and Instagram has such a thriving like cartoon strip subculture.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
It's like the newspaper strips moved to Instagram and they're in full color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to, very similar to you. I used to love like getting the Wednesday and Sunday newspaper because
Yep.
they all had the comic strips in them, and I
Mhm.
just
Yep.
Was
none
Wednesday
of
a
the
color
stuff.
edition for you?
No, it was a black and white edition, but it was
Okay.
still a full page uh
I
Yeah.
knew Sunday
comic
did that.
strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't
The
know
Sunday
Wednesday.
the Sunday papers normally had like a full paper, not like a
Oh,
full paper, but
yeah.
its own little section of
Right.
front
Mhm.
and back colored comic strips.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all the classics, Garfield,
Yeah.
God, there's so many other ones. That's how long it's been since I've seen a comic strip or read a comic
Family
strip on the
Circus,
newspaper.
man.
Family
Come on.
Circus, there you go. Family
You
Circus.
ever see the movie Go? Every time I hear Family Circus, I just think of Timothy Oliphant being like, there it is in the lower right corner, waiting to suck.
Yeah.
Oh,
I loved the
That's-
Family Circuses where Billy is going on an adventure and you're just following the black dots that have gone through. It's like a overviewed still of like a neighborhood, or the house has been cut open, so you're seeing all the different rooms. And you
Yep.
just
oh yes.
track the black ant dots of where he's gone.
Yep.
Yeah, those were
Simple,
my
simple.
I loved those things. I wanted to be, and I still do, Calvin and Hobbes all day long.
Calvin and
Yes.
Hobbes. Yeah, man.
I mean, the themes in Calvin and Hobbes, like, have you read it recently?
Not recently.
Not recently.
It's really worth getting from the library. They're like, I'm like, wow, like there's some really great themes in it, and the art is incredible.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
that's cool. I remember there used to be this one here, and it was about like a Native American. It was a dad and a little boy,
Cool.
and it was always like you would learn something from it.
Oh, yeah?
It wasn't overtly racist against Native Americans.
That was my first thought.
Yes, it was not overtly. I won't say it wasn't.
Just
Sure.
subtly.
Yeah,
Very subtly, yeah.
but there was
Unintentionally, perhaps.
always, in the 4 to 6 panels or whatever,
Uh-huh.
by the end of it, there was like a teaching moment.
Wow.
So I always used to like that one too, and I feel like shit because I don't remember what it was called, but it's probably been 10 or more years since I read
That's
it.
amazing. I've never seen a Native American driven strip. That would be amazing.
Yeah, now you gotta
Yeah.
find it.
I know.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for
Shit,
it
I'm
now.
fixing to look it up too. Shit.
Native American comic strip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Far Side. The Wizard of Id was pretty good.
Wizard of It was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. I liked the soap opera ones a lot.
Yeah.
They were funny. Nothing happens. It's like 2 panels or 3 panels and nothing happens. The
Just
line
better-
work is really good in those though.
Just melodrama for melodrama.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
always a joke at the end of it or something, or somebody like opens a door and they're like, "You're here." That's the
Yeah.
strip. Okay.
There was
Yeah.
one. Well, obviously, we talked about Dilbert was another one.
Yeah.
was a
Boy,
comic
that guy
strip.
blew up. Yeah, he bad things happen with Dilbert, dude.
Yeah, Peanuts. I mean, obviously, the Peanuts was a
Peanuts
comic
was a
strip.
bummer, man. I never got
Yeah.
into Peanuts.
Yeah, I couldn't get into them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked
Uh,
the cartoons growing up, the
Hey,
music and such.
Hagar the Horrible
Yes,
was
I've
another
heard.
one.
Hagar's funny.
Yeah.
Hagar's good.
Baby Blues.
I don't remember that one.
It's like a.
I
It was
don't
kind of like
remember that
it was
one.
it was kind of like a family thing. It was
Hmm.
about this little girl who has a baby brother, and it's basically her stories about having to be a big sister to her little brother, kind of a thing.
Oh.
Beetle Bailey about that guy in
Yeah.
the army. That was another good one.
Hmm. I think it was
Marmaduke.
Marmaduke.
Mort Walker did, I think, Beetle Bailey, High and Lois, and Hagar the Horrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to
But
look.
they
and
actually
see
have
if-
studios. They just use their pen names. So it's just people working in their style after a while.
Oh, okay.
Those are
Okay.
really the only ones I really remember.
Hmm. Yeah. Besides like Apartment 3G and Solid Earth.
Prince Valiant. That was one.
Oh, right. Right. I don't
Yep.
think our newspaper got that in Louisville, the Courier. I'm not sure they did.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Bo-
that one.
Boondocks was a comic book strip. That was
Yeah.
a comic strip.
Amber
Yeah.
Rhythm is a comic strip.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
towards the end of when I was reading the paper. Like towards
Yeah.
high school is when that popped up.
Never seen it in the Chattanooga Times. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another thing that always amazes me is like different areas would get different comic strips. So,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
were a collector or whatnot, a lot of people collected the comic strips. You could essentially, get 50 different comic strips a week.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not
So-
sure if this is right. I could be making this up, but I think it was dependent on the syndicate that was distributing the paper. So you had like
Yeah.
syndicate and stuff like that.
Possibly.
That-
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Sometimes that don't make a lot of sense. Roger will tell you that.
I mean, none of us make all the sense,
I make 0 cents.
Well, we're in jobs where we don't have to make sense. So it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
good.
Well, Alan, we don't want to keep you too long. We know you're busy. You got some art to do. I'm sure there's some voiceover work waiting. So if anybody wanted to follow you, do you have social media? Where would they find you?
I'm on Instagram at Alan Adelberg. And yeah, at Alan Adelberg. There's going to be a signing for Sandland on July 12th on Instagram. It's at 5 Central. And then I think on August 2nd, there's also going to be a Q&A with everybody in the cast through Streamily.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Awesome. What about any upcoming events like schedule as far as like conventions you could possibly be going to or anything like that?
I don't have any conventions lined up. I do have a couple games coming out. One is called Battle Train. These are both on Steam. Battle Train, and then the other is called We Stay Behind. We Stay Behind is like it's a story-driven game. It's kind of like a Twin Peaks.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a mystery. Everybody in this town is leaving and/or disappearing, and why are these people staying? A comet is going to hit this town. Why do these people want to stay?
I'm intrigued.
Yes.
I am very intrigued.
It sounds very like Marshall Applewhite and like cult like is what it
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah. That's super fun. That's going to be coming out soon. Demo's available now. And yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, so
Awesome, dude.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what was upcoming, but you've already given us all that.
Yeah, so
Um, So I will tell you that we were once told that the greatest thing that a person can share is their time, and we greatly appreciate you sharing your time with us this evening.
oh, it's my pleasure. Great talking with all of you.
Absolutely. If you can just hang out with us for just one more second while we
Sure.
pay a couple of bills. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Again, we want to thank Alan for being here with us. Hopefully you guys learned something tonight. If you did, awesome. If you didn't, it's okay. Just keep rewatching this. It'll be okay. You'll learn something eventually. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, again, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Chip, Roger, anything you guys want to say before we get out here this evening?
As always, please do not leave without leaving a like, comment, share, and subscribe on Spotify and right here on YouTube.
Your turn, Roger.
and as always, thank you guys for the great support. Without that support, we wouldn't be able to do pretty much what we do now, and that's actually get to meet people, have great conversations, go to conventions, and make content. So thank you guys so much for the support.
And if you guys want to continue to support Movement Radio, make sure you check out streamlabs.com/Movement Radio/merch and go copy some merch. Once again, Alan, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you guys for watching. And until next time, thanks for watching. I'm Talon Williams.
I'm Chip Hazard.
And I'm Roger Sierra.
I'm
And
happy to
this-
be here.
We're happy to have you. And this is Movement Radio.
God bless.
See ya.